get started with our meeting. My name is Mavis Bates, and this is the March 11th, 2022 meeting of the Energy and Environmental Committee. Would you please call the roll?
Allen,
Allen present.
Caius, Molina,
Molina present.
Strathman,
Strathman present.
Wallace,
Wallace here.
Wojnicki,
Present.
Bates.
Present. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for February 18th?
Allen moves.
Strathman second.
Wojnicki second.
Strathman seconds. Was there any discussion about the minutes? Okay, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen,
Caius, Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Wallace,
Sorry, yes.
Wojnicki,
Yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Passes.
Okay, thank you very much. So.
Mavis, can you get a little closer to your microphone?
Yes, I certainly can.
Oh, that's
Thank
better.
you. That's much better.
Yes,
better.
now I can hear myself very clearly. Okay,
Thank you. That is better. Thank you.
okay, thanks. So the next on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment either in the room, which is very empty, or online? Okay. Ms. Wolnick, would you please give us your environmental?
Thank you.
report?
We have in your packet the March Watershed Group Activity Report. Just a quick review of that. The details are within that report if you'd like more information. The Fox River Study Group continues to do its monthly collection of water samples along the Fox River and its tributaries. If you recall, we are also sampling in the unincorporated rural area of Kane County in our agricultural areas. And that report is going back to the Agricultural Committee here. We do the sampling on the same days as the Fox River Study Group. So we're able to view those trends. In addition, we had mentioned previously, they're continuing to monitor the conditions upstream and downstream of the Carpentersville Dam prior to its removal this year, so we can better understand the impacts of dams on our river. The Indian Creek Watershed Group is proceeding forward. The modeling is mostly complete from Geosyntec. This is one of our most heavily urbanized watersheds. So water quality and water quality improvements in this watershed are going to be key improvements. So we'll, when that wraps up, we'll likely bring a report back to this committee to better understand the impacts of the water quality within Indian Creek. Tyler Creek is watershed group is looking to update their watershed plan. It's pretty dated at this point. They're looking to get some grant funding, possibly from IEPA, to update that watershed plan and develop some more water quality improvements for that area. In addition, the city of Elgin is working with the locals in Elgin to remove one of the dams on Sandy Creek. That's just upstream of Highland Avenue at the Lincolnwood Terrace subdivision. So that will be a great improvement to that area if they're able to proceed forward with that. So we'll stay on top of that as well. Any questions on the report?
No? Well, are there any questions from the committee? Okay.
The next item we have is a continuation of the discussion. If you can maybe bring up the slide, thank you, and go to the next slide on that, please. There you go. A continuation on the discussion of the electric aggregation civic contribution amount. We were able to include this slide in last month's packet. We did not have any committee members reach out to us in the interim with any additional questions. The amount that we are receiving in the 2-year contract we currently have for electric aggregation is approximately $760,000. We do support funding for our staff that goes back into the general fund over those 2-year period of $52,000, leaving a remaining amount that's going to be received of approximately $711,000. Based on the number of subscribers, if we did choose to return that amount back to the subscribers, they would receive a check after that 2-year period of approximately $38. We would be working with the county treasurer to get those checks out. They would be resembling something like a Menards rebate check that they would have a certain period of time to cash. If they didn't cash those checks, then the funding would come back to the county. And we included the wording of the referendum question because there was some discussion at last time we spoke about this in regards to what was basically advertised to the residents. And while it does not specifically say the intent of the program was to save residents money, that was certainly a key issue that was advertised to them. So we'd like to pose 2 options today to the committee. One option would be returning the civic contribution to the residents based on how the program was originally organized as a money-saving program for residents. And then the second option we would like to propose would be to return that funding, if not to the residents, to the 650 fund, which is the enterprise surcharge fund that supports all the activities in environmental, recycling, and sustainability to be utilized for countywide programming. And the reason for this, and I know we got kind of bogged down in the last discussion with specific uses for that funding. I think that could be forthcoming, but as we presented each budget year, funding in the 650 fund continues to decrease. That was originally where our revenue from our landfill tipping fees was going. We're required to maintain a balance in that fund. So at some point we will run out of funding for our sustainability and recycling programs. So it's important that we find a revenue source for that fund. And if we can operate off the interest for those funds set aside for any issues that were to occur with the landfill, we can operate our programs more efficiently and ensure that we have the revenue necessary to do the programming that we do. So those are the 2 options staff would like to present this morning and we'll open it up for discussion then.
Do I have any comments or questions from the committee?
Madam Chairman, Alan, I have a question.
Please go ahead, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. I don't want to disappoint our subscribers, but I don't know how much good a small check does any family, whereas a large check is going to enable the county to do worthwhile things for everybody. But I would like to ask a question. Jody, do you have any idea what the average electric bill would have been for a residential home? Or did the money that people pay do them some good in their budgeting every month? Would we have any way of knowing that?
This is Ivy Klee. I did ask our electric aggregation consultant for the average savings of the subscribers in years past based on the contracts that we've had. And her estimates were around $40 each year that was saved on utilities as a part of being a subscriber of this program. So that the rebate amount is in line with how much they've saved in the past.
So
Madam Chair Strathman?
Just a moment, please, Ms. Strathman. Ms. Allen, did that answer your question? That they saved $40 a year with the aggregation program, but I think you were asking what was the average electric bill?
Yeah, I was just kind of hoping that all of us have an idea of how much our electric expenses are. And I was just wondering if this contract gave our subscribers something approximate to what I have. That was my question.
I get,
And
I
that
don't think we have those numbers.
Yeah, we don't, so if you were in the program, and you're not in the program now, you would basically on each of your bills, if you added them all up through the year, would have saved approximately the $40. And so for somebody that's not subscribed in our program, their bill over the course of a year is going to be $40 higher.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that question. Ms. Strathman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Ms. Allen that $38 can be, as a rebate, can be just lost. I mean, that can be a, family trip to McDonald's, maybe. It would make more sense to me to put this back into the larger fund so that we have a bigger use for it. That would be my choice, to put it back into the 650 fund.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Strathman. Any other comments?
Yes,
Melina?
Madam Chair.
Ms.
It's Wojnicki here.
Please.
I agree with Ms. Allen and Mrs. Strassman. I think that our sustainability and environmental department benefits all of our residents, and we need to keep it funded. And I think they do a great job. And I think everybody, all our residents would agree with that. So I'm all for putting it back in the fund.
Well, thank you for those nice compliments to our sustainability and water and recycling departments.
Absolutely.
Anybody else like to make a comment?
Yes, this is Molina. If I can make a comment, please.
Please.
So and I'm sorry, I didn't understand this before. Just make sure I'm understanding this clearly. Since 2014, the residents who have participated in this program have received a rebate back because they participated in this program?
No, their bills would actually have been, if you would have totaled them up over the year, at $40 less. The current contract is different than any of the previous contracts we've had for electric aggregation, in that because we are receiving green power, we're receiving a civic contribution. And so in the past, the residents would have only seen a deduction on their bill, as opposed to now they would, if the committee voted, they would receive a rebate check.
Okay, so they've never received a rebate check. They've only seen a savings because they've participated.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm just looking here. So Aurora and Dundee don't participate in this program. So it would just be the other townships in the county that do participate?
The unincorporated areas of the other townships, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Molina, do you want to comment on whether you want the money to stay in the 650 fund or be a rebate check to the residents?
I would go either way. I think it's, once you put it out there, these residents could receive this money, but at the end, the money that they could receive is going to pretty much come back to them in the services that the county is going to provide. So I'd be okay with putting it back in the fund. At the end, they're getting their money back anyway, really, with the services that we're going to provide.
Right. That's our
Madam
job.
Chair, another question, please, Strathman.
Strathman, please.
Yes, do we know the cost of writing out the checks for that amount?
Yes, it was approximately $1 per check. We received that number from Mr. Rickard prior to his retirement. And so we would need to work with the treasurer again to make sure that's still a viable option. But given that their office was intending to do it previously, we don't see that being a hurdle.
But do we know the total cost to us to write and issue those checks?
Yeah, so it's 18,000 checks at $1 each. It was about $18,000 for the mailing and the issuance of those checks.
Thank you.
Madam
I think
Chair?
that should be a consideration as well.
Right. Absolutely. And then the $52,000 was to administer the program of returning the checks.
No, that's to run the electric aggregation program. So it
Oh.
pays for a portion of Ivy's salary through the general fund. And that was part of the original agreement to do the electric aggregation, was that the county would be supported with the administration of the program.
And this aggregation program is continuing, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
After this 2-year term, we will rebid the electric aggregation again.
Okay, thank you. Are
Madam
there any other
Chairman?
questions or comments?
Madam Chairman, Alan,
Yes, Ms. Allen?
Jody, when is the term of the contract?
It started in August of 2021, so it will go through August of 2023. So
2023.
approximately in the spring of 2023, we will go back out for bids. At that time, we don't know if this green civic contribution scenario will even be a viable option. So obviously 2 years from now, it might completely change, just as it's changed since we originally initiated the program. So we don't have a great crystal ball on what that's going to look like 2 years from now.
And normally your crystal ball is so good.
Always
I
trust
wanna-
Jody's crystal ball.
There you go. I just, Cheryl, thanks for your question about the costs involved. I appreciate that. I just want to toss out that I think the good that we can do with the $700,000, sorry, is just a greater good than any individual household can do with their $40. I know that's, that's trying to be godlike, and that's not a good thing to do, but still, this is an instance where if we pool our small credits, we can turn that into a greater good, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments about this contribution, the community contribution?
So, Louis,
Louis,
permission?
please.
So, not my committee, but I like to stalk you guys. Do any of our residents have any expectation that they would be getting this rebate?
No, they were.
No, again, because there was never a rebate check sent in the past, this would be something new. Currently, the contract is matching ComEd rates, and so the subscribers to the program are receiving green power at the same rate that anyone would be getting ComEd power.
Right. Okay. Then if there's no expectation of a rebate, I would agree with all of you. We certainly could use this money to sustain and help our programs that we're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. I believe we have reached a consensus then that we will keep this money in, put it into the 650 fund, the enterprise fund, which will support environmental sustainability and conservation according to the budget.
Staff has sufficient direction. I would thank you very much. And we will develop our 2023 budget, which will be happening sooner than we expect, with this information. So it will come back through the board as the budget adjustment to 650. And so any additional comments on our budget can be received at that time, but that will be the official action for this item.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Walnick, and thank you, committee members. We can go on then to the next slide. Okay, Ms. Ryan.
Thanks, that's me. Will I be advancing my own slides? Or?
No, just tell us.
Okay, I'll just, all right, go ahead to the next. Well, so what I wanted to update you on was just the change to the Aurora Recycling Center. You may have seen either on social media or King County Connects or other news outlets that we have made some changes. So I just wanted to kind of explain what those are and why. So just a brief refresher of the kind of the components of any electronic recycling program under Illinois' Consumer Electronics Recycling Act. There are two main roles. One is the collector. Now, the collector manages and staffs collection sites, runs events, sorts and packages material for transport. And this is typically a cost item. So you have to pay those staff, though it is recouped somewhat. So some of the funds for transport and packaging are paid through by the manufacturer clearinghouse in the state. And municipalities also have the option to charge fees only on televisions and computer monitors, which Kane County does. And that helps offset those costs a little bit. And then the recycler is the entity that further sorts and then disassembles the electronics brought in. They conduct any required data erasure, and then they find markets either for resale of the finished product, kind of refurbished product, or for the commodities that come out of the disassembled products. And this is, in theory, a revenue item. So in Kane County, EVRAC is both our collector and our recycler. And that is at no cost to the county, though. So we do, of course, support EVRAC with outreach, and we do bear some of the site expenses. Obviously, Fabian Road is on county property, and we pay the utilities there, but we also pay some costs associated with West Dundee as well, and we're paying for the Aurora site. So what the problem is, kind of in general, is that in recent years, the costs associated with collection have increased. Wages, for example, while the weight of valuable material being recovered through recycling has decreased in general. This is both as just consumer electronics are getting smaller and smaller, but manufacturers are also finding ways to use smaller amounts of valuable material and replace some of it with plastics and other things that are really pretty low value for recycling. Next slide, please. So as you are aware, the county entered a partnership with, well, our existing partnership with EVRAC and a new partnership with VetTech to open a new center location at 911 North Lake Street in Aurora. It opened in late June of, it says 2020, but I think it should be 2021. I'm sorry about that. And we did outreach at the time, of course. This would have been Jennifer. We wrote about it several times in Kane County Connects. We placed advertisements in the Chicago Tribune, kind of the web-based ads, but also paper ads in the Aurora Beacon. We put it pretty prominently on the county website. She even went through quite a song and dance, if I'm to understand, with state DOT and Kane County DOT to get the sign that we have up pointing to the driveway for the center. But unfortunately, as you can see from the graph, Aurora, for the entire time it was open in 21, really lagged in terms of traffic behind the other sites. Now, Jeff from EVRAC always says, West Dundee about breaks even. So the money that they bring in through the fees and then the material that they bring in for recycling essentially pays there for the cost of running the site, so transport and staffing. So that's at about 60 cars. And they're willing to kind of keep doing it because Fabian does really well. They do more than enough traffic at Fabian. And for whatever reason, Aurora just never got up there. Really on its best weeks, it was seeing about 40 cars a week. And this is despite being staffed essentially 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Next slide, please. So pretty much as soon as I arrived, I was faced with this conundrum of what are we going to do here? And there are essentially only two options. Well, I guess there's a third that I didn't put on there, but the first might be to, since we've already advertised the site as existing through the Green Guide and everything like that, we could leave it unstaffed. So just that would cut our cost to almost nothing. But the problems are there's a very high potential for fly dumping when you have unstaffed sites. I know Lake County has used this model a little bit. And you can get all sorts of stuff that is not recyclable whatsoever. And it's kind of hard to deal with, like furniture, household hazardous waste. And it also creates somewhat of an equity issue because people would be able to take their TVs and monitors down there without paying the fee because there'd be no one there to take it. Whereas at our other sites, we still be charging that. So I didn't really love that option. Then so number 2 looked more appealing, which was to reduce the hours and perhaps seek a more visible location, both short-term and long-term, and look at new ways of advertising. So next slide. So this flyer that went out last week for our first Saturday is kind of an example of the new advertisement I put together for our change. So essentially what we did was reduce the hours from Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, to only Saturdays from 9 to 1. And we were able, through working with the owner of Ace Hardware, who is a local person, to basically negotiate using their parking lot for those hours with a box truck to collect recycling. And that spot is highly visible because of their, they've got a nice big sign on the road and just people know where it is. So we thought that would work out pretty well. As you can see, I translated our messaging there into Spanish as well. I think Aurora has a higher Latino population than probably many other locations in King County. So I thought that was worth doing. And yeah, so our result from last Saturday, I can tell you, was that we had just over 40 cars come through in those 4 hours. So in 4 hours, essentially, we did as well as the site down the hill had done in its best week during 2021. Okay, next slide. So what about long term? And what about the VetTech site at that should be 911 North Lake Street? Well, we're continuing to hold the agreement with VetTech for the site for the moment. We can continue using it for temporary storage, additional sorting. My understanding is that eWorks actually prefers to use Fabian for those purposes, so we'll have to see. But at least at the moment, we're holding on to the location. And then a long-term future for the Aurora location. We're not 100% sure yet. We're kind of seeing how it goes with our Saturday experiment here over the weeks. We are, however, looking for alternate locations. County properties are the most obvious because it's simply the easiest to do. But we run into some challenges just with changes going on at building management. There hasn't been a totally clear path to getting that talked about yet. There's a potential of, like we do in West Dundee, working with the city of Aurora to find a suitable property. The city runs its own electronic recycling events, and it really partners with Will County to do that. I don't know if that creates a kind of weird dynamic or rivalry, but I would be happy to work with the city. So, I still consider that an option. But if we don't do either of those, and if we don't continue on our Saturdays up at Ace Hardware, where we will have to run more e-recycling events, which I think Jen was trying to get away from because those are a lot of work and require a lot of coordination with volunteers and everything. So that is essentially where we're at. I think I have just a contact slide, yeah. I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. We did not save this for you on purpose.
I know.
Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Ryan?
Molina with a
Just
comment.
quick comment. Go
Please
ahead,
go ahead,
Molina.
Ms. Molina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Saturday programs are going to be the best advertising for that site because it is so hard to you don't visualize it from the street. You really don't know where you're going. And having people go to the Ace parking lot and seeing and maybe being told, you can actually go across the street down that little street tell your friends that's where you can go recycle from now on. I think that's really going to be the best advertising because, you know, we were also in a pandemic. People weren't really going out anywhere. They weren't really talking to their neighbors. So hopefully it works from now on, but thank you for that option, Ace. You'll probably see me there next week.
Excellent.
Nikki here.
Yes, please go ahead, Ms. Wonicky.
I agree with Myrna for one, but for two, I'm not in favor of like number one, leaving a site unstaffed. I think that would cost us money in the long run. If any of you have ever seen the, I don't know, the little square drop areas like outside of Jewel or whatever, it's just people just drop off furniture, and couches seem to be the big one, and mattresses seem to be a big one. So I just think leaving a site unstaffed is not a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Myrna, could you repeat your point for me? Were you saying that the Saturdays would be good advertisement for the rest of the week, or was that your idea?
Well, the way I see it is that nobody knows where that site is. So
Correct.
even if you tell people go down Lake Street, the fact that you have to go kind of under, it's not really on Lake Street. People are
hidden.
like, you know what? I know where the other sites are.
Yeah.
I'll just go there. So I'm not in favor of leaving it unmanned. It's just the idea that people aren't really familiar with the site. And I think it's just been a year where people aren't talking to each other. So
Correct.
you put it on Lake Street on Ace, people will go there and then, you know, become a little bit more familiar with just being told, just if you go down that street, you know, that's where it'll be from now on. So that was my point.
One interesting thing that we learned last Saturday that I hadn't considered, and I don't know how prevalent of a problem it is, but someone told us they were afraid to go to the site across the road. They knew it was there, but they knew it was in kind of a formerly vacant warehouse, and they did not want to go down to a formerly vacant warehouse. This was an older woman, but you know, I think that concern is valid.
Well, that's good feedback for us. It is a little creepy down there.
I
mean, it's very secluded. You go down there and, you know, the worker, when I went there a few times, the worker was inside the building to stay warm.
Yeah.
Logical.
Yeah.
But you go down, nobody's there. You kind of look around and wonder if you're in the right place or not. So, but I think Ace Hardware is that, are we paying for that? Or did Phil Schaus just do it out of the kindness of his heart, or?
At present, we're not paying anything to be there. And we don't actually have like a formal agreement because we're kind of experimenting. So if he decides it's, you know, we're causing trouble.
We'll give him the Sustainability Man of the Year award.
Oh, we could, yeah.
We don't have that award, but we could,
Yeah.
we could make it.
Yeah, I made sure, you know, when we closed last weekend and that the staff understood, you know, it had to look like we were never there. So
I think it's excellent. I was just startled that you had done that already, because I was thinking, how could I help Claire get the recycling event at Ace Hardware? And you had done it already. So that's awesome.
it was really Jeff and Marvin, Partner City Works and EVRAC that negotiated that so quickly. So.
Okay, so can you just tell me what the next steps are? We're gonna keep doing the Saturdays and see how it goes?
Yes. Yep. So that's the plan for the moment. We have no close date for Saturdays. We're going to just kind of, we're going to keep doing them. Hopefully they'll continue to be roughly as successful as they have been. And then I think UWorks will be happy to do it. We'll keep checking in with ACE and make sure they're happy. And that's
Are we open on weekdays now or
No.
closed?
No, we're not open on
That's
weekdays.
okay. People can't, how many people can go from 9 to 4
Right.
on a weekday?
Yeah, and so about, I've heard the concerns about, well, do we now have an unstaffed site? Not really. They've placed all the Gaylords and pallets and everything where people would formerly have thrown their stuff inside. So it doesn't, and like the signs are not there anymore. So I don't think people would dump down there any more than they dump anywhere else.
Okay, one of the cars, one of the drivers, I'd say, well, how'd you hear about us? And they said they saw it in the Tribune.
Yes.
So they picked that up from Kane County Connects. So if we can keep Kane County Connects giving us more, maybe just little snippets or something that, are we going to put it in Kane County Connects every week for a while?
I can see, I didn't plan on having it there this week. I was thinking of actually doing hard copy posters and trying to post them in public places.
Oh, let me know. I'll bring my tape.
Nice.
So,
but I think, using our online resources more as well is a good idea.
okay, there are laundromats in Aurora. Sometimes I post Greenfest posters.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Laundromats. Any other ideas, Myrna, for places to put up posters?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Allen.
I believe Miss Mann, our new publicity outreach person,
Yes.
was asking for suggestions. She's trying to get people to use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Could we add the Aurora site to those?
Brilliant, my dear Watson.
Yeah, we did a post. We did a post about the Saturday events, and that image I showed you with the Spanish translation. They used that last week on Kane County Facebook. I'm not sure about Twitter and Instagram. Probably one on Instagram too. And actually, Brenda Bushbauer came to the event for about an hour and took a ton of pictures and then posted them on Facebook too. So, I think it'll be up to them a little bit how often they want to use that content, but I'm certainly open to it. I love the idea.
Once again, you're way ahead of us. Thank you.
Lewis here.
Yes, Ms. Lewis.
So we also have that newspaper in Aurora called The Voice that a lot of people, because it's a free paper, subscribe to. So maybe we might want to throw something in there, and they'd probably do that for free.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
sent an email to them this week. I didn't get a response, but I can try again.
Yeah, usually I think if you get them something by Monday morning, they put it in the Thursday edition.
Monday
generally. Okay, yeah. And also I noticed last week, and this is good, we have a Facebook page, and it's like what's happening in Aurora. And I did notice on there that somebody was like, hey, what's going on Lake Street in front of Ace Hardware? And then somebody else said, oh, it's recycling. So, I mean, that's really good. And I try to remember, and I think Myrna and Mavis do this too. Sometimes we throw our posts from the county over there too. So people are aware of it, but it's a really active group. So, but I thought that was kind of cool that, people were like, hey, what's going on? Because it was visible. So it's a great thing.
That's great. I hadn't heard that story. Good. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Any other comments?
I was going to throw in grocery stores and the bakeries around Aurora. But yeah, my first option was Julie and Brenda, who have been phenomenal so far, just getting the word out on what the county does and reposting. So Facebook is a great way of getting things out there. You see something, just repost it on as many sites as you can. And the word will get out. I think it's just Aurora has been a little slower just because of everything, but we'll get there. We'll get our site up to Fabian standards, hopefully.
Especially once we get we do have our Facebook page on Kane County Facebook page. So if we're it's so easy, and nobody minds if you post on there all the time too much. And then once it's on Facebook for King County, it's so easy to share it to, what's happening in Aurora, or what's, I can share it to Sierra Club. So, and who knows where else, I've got 2 or 3 of my own Facebook pages. So if we can get can you do that even today?
Yeah, I'll ask them today. Yeah.
Okay. How does that work? You give them content and they do the posting, or?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. All right. Good.
Gums, quick question.
Yes, Ms. Gums.
Hi guys. So with our new public information officer, can we do an event, a county event to promote this?
We did do an event a couple months ago on a Saturday, a special Saturday, but
Yeah, but through
Yeah.
the public information office, I mean, I think that would be,
sure, let's do
an
it.
actionable issue and hopeful.
I'm looking at Miss Ryan. She's thinking hard.
Yeah, the only concern I would have is if we created too much traffic at that spot, Ace might not love it. And there's also an ATM right there that's pretty busy. So I just won't want to have a big line of traffic that impeded access to either the store or ATM. But something we can consider for sure.
Well, if we got a huge crowd, I wouldn't be sad.
No.
But I understand that the capacity there might only be, well, can we figure that out? 100? We heavily advertised for an event a month ago or two, and we got 288 cars. And there was never a line very much. It flowed quite well.
Yeah. The other thing is we would need probably a tractor trailer, which EWRCs can do. It's just, again, a matter of, is that okay with the Ace hardware?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
so it's not,
Yeah.
it would take some planning, of
Yeah.
course, but let's think about that.
In mind, okay.
Having us
Yeah.
just kind of I wanted to have a ribbon cutting, but I was 6 months too late, so
Yeah.
nobody would let me do
Yeah,
a
we
ribbon cutting.
probably shouldn't cut a ribbon at Ace since it's not
Oh,
actually a structure.
Well, we could call that the soft opening. You
Yeah.
want to do a ribbon cutting one of these days? Ask Miss Wolnick. She's the one who keeps me from making too many mistakes. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, no, I've embarrassed her. Okay, not the last time, I'm sure. Miss Wolnick, Miss Klee.
I think Karen Miller's gonna
Oh, Karen,
report on
please.
this slide. Yeah.
Okay, good morning. So I'd like to talk to you about the 10th Annual Fox River Summit, which is coming up next Thursday on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Veterans Terrace in Burlington, Wisconsin. And this year we are back in person, but there's also a virtual option. For those of you who are not familiar with the Fox River Summit, it is a collaboration between the Fox River Ecosystem Partnership and the Southeast Fox River Partnership in Wisconsin to bring together stakeholders along the Fox River to educate and to network and to collaborate on projects to help preserve and protect the Fox River. We will have speakers and topics from both Illinois and Wisconsin. There will be networking and a social hour afterwards, and also a delicious lunch. So if you would like to attend either in person or virtually, you can go to southeastfoxriver.org to register.
Thank you. Any other comments about, will you be there in person?
Yes, I'll be speaking about the fabulous Fox Water Trail. And like I said, we will have a number of other speakers talking about different topics on the Fox River from both Illinois and Wisconsin.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And they have to call it the Southeast Fox River because there's another Fox River, right? Up in Green Bay.
Well, that is the organization that is in the southeast part of Wisconsin. Plus, yes, you're right. There is another Fox River that is up near the Green Bay area.
Okay, well, don't get your Fox Rivers mixed up. Okay, thank you. Ms. Klee?
Good morning, everyone. I have a few updates on upcoming programs and projects that I just want to run through quickly. The One Earth Film Festival screening, if you could go to the next slide, please. So Clean Water for Kane is co-sponsoring one of the One Earth Film Festivals films, and it's actually screening tomorrow. So if you don't have any plans, we are co-sponsoring the film Inhabitants, an Indigenous perspective on restoring our world. The description is to the right of the image. It looks awesome. You can view the trailer online. I'm really excited to watch the film. The virtual screening is happening tomorrow from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. We co-sponsor a film with the Fox River Ecosystem Partnership once a year during the film festival. along with other local organizations and governments. The screening is free. However, there is an $8 donation recommended. And you can visit that link that I posted on there for more information on tickets and to check out any other, you can go to the One Earth Film Festival website to check out all the other films that are part of the film festival. If you could go to are there any questions on that before I skip to the next thing? No, okay. All right, great.
Ivy, excuse me, it's Deborah.
Mhm.
That link will allow us to see the movie and make the donation.
Yes, so if you go to that link, that is going to be the specific link for Fox River Ecosystems. That's like the co-sponsor page. So we're directing folks there. And then from there, you can click on a link to purchase the tickets or to reserve your spot and then make a donation if you're interested. Yes.
That's great. Thanks.
Mhm.
This One Earth Film Festival was going on for a long time.
Yes.
10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Sierra Club is always a sponsor, and in the past,
Mhm.
we've had a great showing of a in-person film in Aurora and all over the area. Would have different films on different nights, and so
It's a great film festival. It's been, I believe, is from March 4th or 3rd through I think the end of this weekend.
so they've adapted to COVID.
Yeah.
It's all virtual. Maybe
It's-
next year we'll be eating popcorn and
There have been some films that have a virtual option and also an in-person screening. So hopefully next year we'll be in person.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide then.
Yeah, so before I jump into this presentation, I did just want to quickly talk about our rain barrel and compost bin pickup program. So we are still, Claire and I are still finalizing the details of the event with the Conservation Foundation. We partner with them and they work directly with Upcycle Products to create a group buy program for rain barrels and compost bins. And then we host a pickup event so that our residents don't have to pay the extra cost for shipping the products directly to their home. So the event is going to be on May 5th from 2 to 6 p.m. at Leroy Oaks Nature Preserve. We're still working out some of the details just for storing all of the items once they come in. And we're still finalizing the order link right now, but that should be up and running by next week. And I can send all the committee members an email with all the information. And we can you can send it out to anyone. And we'll make sure that we're publicizing that in all of the avenues that we have.
So this is rain barrels and compost bins.
So we work with the Conservation Foundation works directly with Upcycle Products for rain barrels, compost bins, and then some accessories. And then we also, as of last year, we were working with a private provider in Canada to get Earth Machine compost machines, their bins. So we also have Earth machines available as a
Okay,
part of the program.
Wonderful.
Yeah, last year we had a great turnout. So hopefully.
And how do people buy the compost bins and order them?
There's an order link that will be specific to Kane County residents. We're still finalizing that right now, but it should be live next week.
On the Kane County website or?
We'll post it to our website, but it's going to be an Upcycle Products link.
Oh,
So
okay.
they'll order whatever, any resident can order whatever they want on the website. And then if there are any questions, those can be sent to me, sent to the Conservation Foundation. We partner with them.
Great. And are these olive containers? They used to be olive containers. These great big, like 50-gallon drums, but plastic. They would fill them up with olives. That was their first purpose, was olives. Shipping olives, I suppose, from Italy to America or something like that. And then that was the idea of upcycling them. Instead of just throwing them away, they turn them into rain barrels. So
That makes sense. We'll have 50-gallon containers and also 55-gallon containers available.
Okay, terrific.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
questions, Ms. Strathman?
Yes, please.
Yes, Ivy, can you tell me what the compost machine is?
So the Earth machine is a composter that it's specific to that brand. I think originally Jen requested that we work with this company. She thought that this machine was, or that particular compost bin brand was better than the alternatives. I have had one personally for a while and I think it works great. So I think it's just different. It's a great brand and it's been requested by residents. So that's why we've worked with them separately to
Does
include
it turn?
this. No, it's just standing.
It doesn't turn, but it has like a nice little openable flap at the bottom, or hopper, I guess, to get the finished compost out without having to dig through all your fresher stuff. So that's
Yeah.
one cool thing about it.
Yeah. And the top twists off.
Oh, I have one of those,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah,
lost the door. So somebody gave it to me
Yeah.
and the door was gone. So I think the squirrels just go in and help themselves to all the good stuff. But-
Another form of recycling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and distributing the nutrients. Okay, Ivy, you want to talk about Grow Solar?
Yeah. So we have another Grow Solar Chicagoland Group Buy program for 2022. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is the same program as Solarize Chicagoland. They're calling it Grow Solar Chicagoland now. So there's going to be a program for spring and summer of 2022. I've just started meeting with the Midwest Renewable Energy Association, the Citizens Utility Board staff, and also a couple other counties. So together we are going to support this group buy program for residents within the area. So the focus of the group buy program is going to be on installing residential and small commercial solar electric systems. We issued the RFP last week. Midwest Renewable Energy Association issued that RFP. And if anyone's interested in seeing it, feel free to reach out to me. I can forward that to you. The proposals are due back March 24th. Participating counties are Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. Something that's a little bit different this time around, there's going to be a 750 kilowatt cap on the program, or 100 installations, whichever happens first. The idea behind this cap is to encourage participation, and we hope that more residents sign up sooner so that there's kind of an encouragement to sign up before the end of the program, which is at the end of the year. I guess in years past, what's happened is a lot of contracts get signed towards the end of the year, and then that creates an influx of work for the solar companies and they can't keep up with the demand. So our hope is to have contracts signed and construction happening.
And winter comes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the idea behind the cap, but we can, our thought is that we can increase the amount, if there's more participation that we hear of, we could potentially issue a new RFP. And so the timeline looks like the firms will be selected on April 8th. Site assessments and participant agreements will start April through September. Installations will be complete by December 31st of this year.
So I have to put in a plug for this.
Yeah.
So I was one of the participants in this in 2021. And so I received all of the EVRACs. I'm about to, once I do my taxes before April 15th, I will receive another $4,500 in tax rebates, $6,500 in SREX rebates. But because I was part of the group buy, I received a check for $1,200 also. And that was just from being in the group buy. That was the rebate I got. So sign up, get on there, get your own solar panels, do it. So, okay. Next slide, please. Can we go on?
So I'll run through this presentation kind of quickly. I just want to give the committee members an update on Kane County EV infrastructure and electrification. Next slide, please. So what prompted this presentation, I received an invitation from the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus to represent Kane County in an EV Readiness Advisory Committee. They are just creating this committee with a variety of representatives from the area in hopes to support municipalities in preparing for this expected shift to electrified transportation. And there is also some funding from ComEd for this advisory committee. And their hope is to establish criteria for communities to start becoming EV ready as soon as August of this year. They're planning some fun events for this committee as well. If you could go to the next slide, please. So they currently have an EV readiness program in place that's modeled after the SolSmart program. SolSmart program was very successful. They helped 35 municipalities streamline solar development using the program. So their thought is to use an EV readiness program to do the same thing. The point of the committee will be to set priorities so that an EV ready scoring system can be created. So that is the idea behind the committee. I will be participating representing King County. You can feel free to check out the link for the research that they've done so far. They currently have an EV readiness checklist, but the idea is to create an actual scoring system. And then there's some items that are in the current checklist. If you could go to the next slide, please. So I just wanted to give the committee members an update on current county-owned EV infrastructure. This is just the charging stations that the county owns. However, there is a larger map with more information on all of the charging stations throughout King County that I just received earlier this week from CMAP. So I'm happy to share that with you all. We have a total of 7 charging stations, 4 at the sheriff's office that are specifically fleet stations, 1 at the health department that is public facing, 1 at the courthouse that is public facing, and 1 at our office building that is office facing and is also used as a fleet charging station. Next slide, please. So just some thoughts on how we're going to collaborate to increase our EV expansion and infrastructure, working with different departments to see where might be good spots to expand the current infrastructure that we have, working this into the climate action plan. So I also participated in a CMAP stakeholder forum with Jackie Forbes in Department of Transportation. And we were talking about in the group what regional barriers there are to expanding efficient and equitable charging infrastructure network within Northeast Illinois. You can see some of my feedback points included. There's a need for funding. There's a need for understanding our eligibility in the funding that is available. And then there's a need for assistance and support when the time comes for applying for that funding. So if there's any other points or any other information or feedback that you all have for me, feel free to reach out to me. I can send that to CMAP. They hope that there'll be some technical assistance and data coming from that forum. So I believe that is my last slide, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Clee, for participating in these groups and representing us so well. There's many exciting things going on. Because of time, I'm going to hold my comments about CEJA funding opportunities for Kane County. As you all know, I am determined to bring as much money back to Kane County as possible from this $9.5 billion of funding for clean energy, energy efficiency, clean transportation, you name it. We are going to, those who do the hard work first will get the money first. So we're going to continue working on this. And according to CEJA documentation right now, people like us who will be providing public access to EV chargers, we should be able to get 50 to 80% of funding for that. but we have to read the fine print. still.
Great.
Okay, are there any other, may I have a motion to place the reports on file, please?
Alan moves.
Strathman second.
Ellen and Strathman, please call the roll.
Ellen,
Alan, I thank you for a great report.
Molina,
Tina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Woznicki,
Yes.
Bates.
Yes, thank you. Were there any other comments or questions from the committee? I forgot to say that before we place reports on file. Okay, then hearing no more comments or questions, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Woznicki moves.
Nikki
Wallace second.
and Wallace. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you
Great
all.
meeting.
Thank you.
Onward and upward. Thanks.